Hello, everyone. Good morning, or actually, good evening, wherever you are. Good evening, good day, everything. Welcome to the trading on the Nadex platform. Today is the 11th of November. My name is Adam McCaden, and let's jump right into it because I know we are starting just a couple minutes late here. So I make sure that everything is set up correctly. Okay, fantastic. So I'll go over this disclaimer very quickly. This is a disclaimer we put at the beginning of all of our webinars here. It basically just means, trading on Nadex, just like trading anywhere, is going to involve risk. Make sure that the money you're using for your trading isn't coming out of, rent money, food money. Make sure it's that discretionary income. Also, I will be placing some trades on the demo environment here today, just to show you, how to actually trade on the platform. Nothing I do here on the platform today is going to be a recommendation of any trades you should make. I will be placing these trades basically at random, so definitely don't think that the trades I'm making are good trades for you to go and copy and make. They will just be to show how to actually make trades on the platform. Make sure my camera is set up correctly here. There we go. All right, fantastic. So I think this is enough time on this screen here. I will say, just very quickly, if you do have any questions during the course of the webinar, I do have the questions screen up on my other screen over here, so I can't see them coming in. So feel free to ask any questions as we go through, or if you can't hear, or if you'd like me to explain something in a little bit more detail, I will go ahead and do that. And if you want to save any questions at the end, I will put some time at the end to answer any questions as well. Okay, a little bit about me very quickly. I've been working at Nadex for about 4 years now, focusing mainly on the new products and the new platforms over the last 3 years. So I was in the building of this platform process the entire time from the very beginning. So that's why I like doing these webinars, trying explaining everything we did or tried to do with the platform, and also on any new products that you might see. And actually, we'll probably be seeing quite a few new products coming over the coming months. So we're quite excited about those. Can't talk about them just quite yet, but very excited to introduce some more. And just personally, I've been trading for about 10 years, actually probably closer to 12 years now, pretty much since I turned 18. And mostly I trade equity and equity options. Delve a little bit in commodities, crypto as well is always a good fun thing. But don't trade any binary options, unfortunately, as I can't trade on Nadex. I'm not allowed as a member of the exchange. So we'll go on to this next slide here. That's a little bit enough talking about me. Really quick, the agenda. I'm just going to go basically through the layout, how to place orders, how to manage your positions, all of the settings. We won't go over the charts in this webinar. For anyone that isn't aware, so I'll do a webinar on the actual platform today, and then next Thursday I'll do a webinar on the actual charting because there's a lot there and it doesn't really fit inside of an hour to do them all in the same one. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the platform itself here and just get off this screen, this presentation. All right, so we have our Nadex platform. This is going to be the login screen. You see, you can always just go to nadex.com, hit the login button, and you can come to this page. We're obviously going to log into a demo account, and I'm going to use my I Like Nadex account. That's what I always use when I'm doing these webinars. And there we go. This is the screen that you will see when you first log into the platform. That's the nice little graphic of the chart coming across. So this area is generally going to be where your charts are, but the first thing that I do want to focus on is the left-hand panel. This left-hand panel over here, this is where you're going to find all of your products and how to go ahead and trade them. So across the top here, we have our 3 product types. We have our binary options, our call spreads, and our knockout products. As you see, as I click across these, you can see all of the market classes available for each one underneath. So let's do Forex for this first one today. So if you want to trade Forex, you can click in here. So I do have a question coming up here, basically about an expired account. It says I signed up for a Nadex demo account, use it for 1 or 2 days, and it expired. If you do reach out to our customer service, generally the demos are only good for about 30 days, and then they do expire. Now, if you do open up a live account, you can actually get that forever. You can keep the demo forever as long as you have a live account. You don't have to like fund or actually trade on the live account. So usually I think what the recommendation is just to open that live account. You can get the demo forever, and then there's no you don't have to go ahead and trade that live account until you're ready. But yeah, definitely reach out to our customer service, and they can help you with increasing the duration of that demo account if it has expired. Okay, so going in here, let's choose. We'll do a 2 hour, and we'll do. Let's see, what's popular. Let's do euro dollar. Euro dollar is pretty popular. Been rocking pretty well here. So we're opening up a 2 hour here, and as you see, as I click through, we see both all of the individual markets themselves. And actually, let me refresh this so I can get these markets away. Okay. So you see all of the actual individual markets themselves, and as you click into the different time durations beneath each individual market, you're going to see all the strike prices listed down below them. And actually, let's choose one that maybe has a little bit better pricing. I think the volatility has been pretty high. Okay, so we can do pound dollar here. I'm looking at the 2 hour pound dollar contract. And as I click in, so to actually bring up the chart and to bring up the deal ticket, you can either click on the strike itself or on the buy or sell. I should not have this coming up, or on the buy or the sell side on the actual buy or sell on the red or blue. So you can see as I click here, it just brings up the strike. It's going to bring up the deal ticket for the strike price, as well as bringing up the actual chart itself in the middle of the screen. I'm going to make this chart look just a little bit better here. So again, I'm not going to go fully in depth into the charts in this webinar. Just know you do have the charts in the middle of the screen there, and you can see all the strikes and everything on the chart itself. So going over to the actual deal ticket. So the deal ticket is one, probably the most important aspect to actually understand of this the platform here. So first of all, at the top left, we have the indicative price. The indicative price is going to be the indicative price of the underlying market. So it's going to be an indicator of where the underlying market is at this current time. It's going to be basically the best indicator of where the market is trading at this current time. It's basically the underlying feed with our settlement calculation already baked into it. And it's also going to be what you see on the chart itself. So this is kind of going to be what you want to be looking at. Will this be above or below the strike price when you're trading these binary options? You'll also see how far it is till expiration. So this one, we see it expires in 1 hour and 50 minutes. This is a 2 hour contract that we have up right now. And then you have the actual question itself that you can think of the binary life. Will the pound dollar finish higher than 13372 at 2 p.m. today? If you think it will, if you think there's a good chance that you want to take the upward position on that, you can go ahead and buy this contract. If you think it will be lower than that 13372 point at 2 p.m., you can go ahead and sell the contract as well. And here is where you're going to choose that. So you have your buy and your sell, and you see as I click around, it's also shaded on the chart itself. So when I have the buy selected, the blue area going up is shaded, and when I have the sell selected, the red area, and it's selected on the chart itself too. And you can select the your side from the chart itself as well. So moving on down the deal ticket here, we have our show market depth. So this is where you're going to be able to see all the orders that are out there on the market at the current time. Right now, it looks like there's just the top of funnel pricing, right? Basically, there's only, I think it's one market maker right now making these markets. So it's 64 bucks on the sell and 76 bucks on the buy side. But if there were more markets, and I can actually show you, so you can actually place a limit order. It will show up on the book, and that will be where all the other orders on the order book are kind of sitting below those top prices. But if you just want to look at the top prices, you can always hide that by clicking that button again. Next, we have our order type. There are 2 order types on the Nadex platform at this point. So there's the limit GTC, and there is the market order type. I believe when you first open up a demo account, the default order type is going to be market, and you can always change it to limit. I'm not going to go fully into what market order. Well, I guess we can go into a little bit. So market order, for anyone who doesn't know, basically getting you into the market at the best available price in the market right now. So basically saying, okay, I just want to get the buy side of this. I don't, I want to get in right now at 74. I can go ahead and place order, and it's going to get me into the contract there. If I do have a limit order, you can see I have a separate. So for the market, it's just the size panel below it. But if I have a limit order, I can also choose the price. So a limit order is just going to be placing an order out into the order book that you want to get filled, and you can specify a specific price that you'd like it to hit. So let's say, for example, this contract is trading at $74 right now. I think that's a little expensive, but I still want to get in on the buy side. Maybe I think the market's going to go down and then come back up. So I could go ahead and put in a price of, $50 maybe, and size 1, I could place that order, and that's not going to go into my order, my open positions, which we'll get to in a second. That is just going to be a working order out there in the market. You can also, going back to the actual market depth, if I click this, I'm going to be able to see my order sitting out there in the market below the sell side here. So this is my order I just placed in, that one order at $50. You can kind of see it sitting there, and if the price of this does go down to $50 on the buy side, that will get filled. I'll get into the contract at that point. Moving on down here, we have the price and we have the size, pretty self-explanatory panels here. You can move the price up and you can move the size up. The size is just going to be simply how many of that binary option or call spread or knockout you want to actually buy or sell at any given point. And then obviously this is the place order button here. But before we do get down to that, we have our max loss and our max profit. And these are pretty important, obviously. These are pretty important fields. So the max loss you can see is 60 and my price is 60. The max profit is going to be 40. So that's something that's always good to remember about Nadex is your max loss on a contract is always going to be what you actually paid to get into the contract. You can never lose more than what you paid to get in, like on other platforms or other kind of tradings where you have leverage. At Nadex, if I pay $60 to get in, the most I can lose is that $60. Also, the most I'm going to be able to make on any binary contract is $100 as a payout, giving me my max profit of 40, right? 100 minus 60 is going to give me this max profit of 40. So you can see before you actually get into the contract, you can see what your max loss will be here and what the max profit will be as well. So if I go back up to do 76 again, we can get back into one of these. We can see it just, I have my order received message that pops up. I bought one contract at $76.50. Moving down further on the deal ticket here, we have our max ROI and our probability ITM, or in the money. It's the max return on investment or the probability in the money fields. These are a little bit newer fields, but I think are very helpful in trading these binary options, especially the binaries. So for our max ROI, you can, if you click on this little information bubble, it'll give you a little blurb about it. But basically it's saying, what is the maximum return on investment I can make at this price or at the current market price that's being offered? So if you go to this market price, we see, if I'm putting in about $76 and my maximum payout is $100. So let's use some nice simpler numbers. If I put in $75 and my max payout is going to be $100 for a profit of $25, that max ROI is going to be right around that 30% range, right? You can see right now it's a little bit under that because the buy side is a little bit higher than what I was saying. But basically that's what it's going to be. It's going to be the amount you paid to get in versus the amount you could potentially profit on the contract. Probability in the money is a very similar, well, it's similar in that these fields are sort of tied together, and I'll get to that in 1 second. But what the probability in the money is actually showing you is the midpoint of these two prices. And because binaries are priced out of $100, you can sort of think as the midpoint of these prices as where the market is pricing the probability that this will go in your favor. So I know it can be a little bit confusing at first, but let's say you have a contract priced at 68 bucks on the sell side, 72 bucks on the buy side, right? That's going to be a 70 midpoint. So what the market is basically saying, because it is priced out of that $100, it's saying, okay, there's about 70% chance that if you buy this contract, that will, expire in your favor. Whereas if you go down to, a $30 contract, right, that might be a lot cheaper. It might be a lot more affordable to get into, but you always have to remember, and well, if you buy a $30 contract, you're only paying 30, and your potential max profit is going to be about $70. So a lot higher profit, a lot lower entry point. But the reason that it's priced like that is because the probability of that expiring in your favor is a lot lower. So it's always important to remember, and I'll show you now that how these are sort of connected. So if I go down and I do 25 here, we're going to see that the probability, well, actually it's because it's moving up and down. If I click on another, strike here, let's see. So if we click on another strike here, we'll see, okay, the max ROI is now way, way higher. However, the probability I'm going to get that return on my investment is much lower. So that's always a sort of trade-off you have with these binary options. If I get into a contract at price at, let's say, $90, well, I'm not going to get very much profit if it does pay out, but the probability it pays out is a lot higher. So I know I do usually spend a lot of time on this point here, but I think it is a very important function to understand of how binary options are made up and why, maybe you would want to get into a $90 contract, or maybe you'd want to get into a lot of $10 contracts and just know that the probability that expires in your favor is going to be a lot less than something like a $90 contract. But if it does, you'll get a bigger pay. So I think that's enough time spent on the max ROI and the probability in the money. Now, before I do go to this bottom panel here, there are a couple more things with the deal ticket. So the first one I want to show is this tear off ticket. So at the top right of the deal ticket, you can actually click this and it's going to pop the deal ticket into a new window. So you have this deal ticket now in a new window. And what I sort of like doing with this, I kind of like setting up my screen with these tear off tickets. So let's say, I'll show you here. Give me 1 second. I'm moving this over to my other screen real quick. But let's say I really like trading the pound dollar and the dollar franc. I'm just going to pull up some random ones. I know I'm going fast here. I'm just popping different tickets out, and I'll show you how I like to set my screens up. And let's say dollar yen. Let's say I really like trading these three markets, right? Well, if I tear my tickets off, I can actually kind of line them up on my screen here, and now I can see all these different markets at one time. Not only can I see the actual ticket itself, but if I hit the price ladder here, now I can see all the pound dollar binaries, all the Swiss franc binaries, and all the dollar yen, the dollar yen binaries all on one screen. And this is how I like to set my screen up when I'm just watching the market, just trading on demo. I can sort of see, okay, there's a movement happening in the dollar yen. I'm seeing a lot of different strikes pricing. I'm seeing, a big run up on the prices. I can quickly click here, get into a contract, place my order. And I just went into let's do a market order and place my order and then actually get into the contract very quickly, rather than having to like click around on that side panel constantly. So one other thing with these, if you actually click these charts, you can actually get the charts up on the pop out ticket as well. So just a little kind of tip or trick on how I like to set up my screens. I usually do this sort of on a second screen because if you do click back on the platform, these will go sort of behind the platform, right? The pages will go behind, and then you might have to kind of try to find them again by going down to your Chrome. So that is going to be really everything to do with the deal ticket. We do have a question coming in here. It says, so the buy and sell are in dollar amounts and the fork level is in pips, thanks. Yes, that's going to be correct. So the actual price you'll be seeing on the market itself, so the indicative price, what you're seeing on the chart, is going to be the actual underlying market price, but the actual price of the binary option is going to be priced in dollars, because it's basically just going back to sort of the probability aspect of it. It's sort of a probability aspect on you're paying $70 to get that sort of probability that it will expire over a certain point, right? So it's what you really want to pay attention to is the indicative price versus where the strike price is, because if I'm on the buy side, I want at expiration this indicative to be higher than this strike price, if that makes sense. Now, I will say that's just for binaries. If we go over to call spreads, if we go over to knockouts, you'll see that it's actually priced a lot more like the actual underlying market in both the call spreads and the knockouts. And I will go into them in just a little bit. I'm just kind of making a point here about how it's priced a little bit differently, but the binaries are priced in those dollar increments. So let's go back in here. We'll get back to our binaries just for the rest of this example. Do some Aussie dollar here. There are quite a few strikes on the Aussie dollar. So one other thing you can do before we get to this bottom panel is you can actually hide these panels. So let's say you want the chart to be very big. You can hit this hide button. That's going to hide the deal ticket over to the side. You can hit these double arrows here, see where I'm, sometimes it's hard to see where I'm actually putting my pointer, but if you see these little double arrows here, I can click that to make the downward panel drop down, and as well as this side hide panel, I can hit this double arrow, and that'll hide that side hide panel as well. You can get them to come back up by simply, on the left-hand side, you can click the markets. That'll make the finder come back up. On the actual deal ticket itself, you can hit any strike price. That'll bring the deal ticket back. And then this up and down arrow is how you drop or bring the positions panel back up. So going down to the positions panel, a lot of this is fairly self-explanatory, but there are some points I do really want to hit hard on this. So we'll go kind of left to right on this bottom positions panel, but really this is going to be where you manage and look at both your open positions and any limit orders you have sort of waiting out in the market to be hit. So first of all, on the left-hand side, we see these are binary options. If this was a call spread, if it was a knockout, it would say call spread or knockout. Going over, we have the contract name. So we have our pound dollar greater than 13372, the one we got into earlier, as well as our dollar yen greater than 113.88. We again have our probability in the money for these contracts. So as these move throughout the life of the contract, you will see that probability in the money update to the different points it is on. And you can see it's the same if you actually go to the buy side. Remember, if you actually go to the sell side of these contracts, the probability and the max ROI are going to change, because when you are getting into a sell side contract, what you're actually paying for the contract is 100 minus the price you see there. So I can kind of show you that here. If this is pricing at like $20, well, actually what I'm paying to get into the sell side of this contract is $80, because it's 100 minus the 20 that you're seeing there, or in this case, the 16, I'd actually be paying about 84. If you're ever confused, you can always look at the max loss, because remember, the max loss is going to be your what you're paying to get in, especially if you're a limit order. So you can look at the max loss and say, oh, okay, that's how much I'm paying for this contract. Moving on down the open positions panel, we have our indicative price. Again, just the indicative price there. And we do put the indicative fairly close to the actual strike. So you can see, okay, it's indicative. It's still above the strike, right? But it's fairly close. So you can see very quickly where it is comparatively. We have our expiration. So this one expires today at 2 p.m. This contract, the lower one is a weekly, I think, expiring tomorrow at 11 a.m. We have our time left. So pretty self-explanatory, amount of time left in the contract. We have our position. So this position panel here, it's if these say +2, if I was in a sell side contract, let's get into this. We'll do an Aussie dollar. If I get into a sell side Aussie dollar contract, you can see it has that -1. So my position, it's plus, it's blue if I'm on the buy side, it's minus, it's red if I'm on the sell side of the contract. And obviously, I'm in 2 positions on these, but I'm only in 1 on the one I just got into. We see the average price. This is the average price you would have paid to get into the contract. And then I see my current price and my profit and loss. Now, these 3 categories right here are very connected. So your average price you pay and the current price, you might notice that all the profit and loss is going to be the current minus the average price, or the average minus the current on the buy side. And it sort of makes sense, right? If the average price I paid to get into the contract was $75, now I can get out of the contract early and get $50 back. Well, that will result in a profit and loss of actually $25, but since I have 2 positions, it's 50. I can actually show you here. So we can see, I'll show you what I just did in 1 second, a little more detail, but we can see here, so 75 minus 53, that's going to give you a $22 P&L. Now, a very important thing to remember on this P&L, and I usually do like to go kind of in depth with these, I'll show you on the chart as well. The P&L you see on this bottom panel is only the profit and loss if you were to exit the position right now. It is not necessarily the P&L that you will get if you hold the contract to expiration. And this is a very important thing to remember, because I think it is can be a little bit confusing when you are newer trading these products. So let me give you an example here. So this is just if I want to exit this contract right now, because on Nadex you can exit every contract early. If I do want to exit this contract right now, I can exit it. So I got it on the buy side. I can exit for the sell side price. You can see the current price. That's going to be the sell side here. I can exit for a price of $50, right? So if I got it at 75, I exited about 50. That's going to result in a P&L of me losing about $25, right? Buy for 75, sell for 50. Pretty self-explanatory. However, if this contract were to expire right now, all I care about is the indicative market being above this line, right? So let's say that I don't have another hour and a half. Let's say this contract is expiring in 1 minute. If this stays above this line, I will get the $100 payout because at expiration, it's either 100 or 0 with the binary options. I will get the $100 payout. My profit would be $25, right? 100 minus the 75 I paid to get it. Now, why is it saying it's a negative P&L though? It's always possible to have a negative P&L, a negative amount, if you exit the contract right now, but still have the contract be in the money if it were to expire right now. And the same thing is true actually on the other side. It's very possible to have a contract that will be showing a positive P&L if you exit the contract right now, but still expire out of your favor if it were to expire right now. And why is this sort of thing happening, right? This may seem a little bit confusing, but it's actually it does make sense, I promise. Well, it's basically because all I care about at expiration is where is it above or below this line on the binary option, the binary price chart, or above or below this line, this strike line, right? Basically, that's all I care about at expiration of the contract. However, over the life of the contract, if I bought this binary when it was up here and it's going down, well, this binary is going to become less valuable on the market. So, the value of my binary might be dropping. If I get out now, I would, lose a little bit of money, but if it were to expire, it's still above this point. It hasn't dropped below it. So I think that is very, again, I think it's an important thing to remember. Similarly, maybe if I had gotten into a, let's say I got into a buy side contract, or let's say I got into a buy side contract like over here, right? And let's say it was this strike price. So, and it expires like right here. Well, if I got in here and the market goes all the way up here, my binary is going to be worth more money, right? I can sell that back into the market. I can take a profit. However, if it were to expire at this point, it would still be out of the money, right? It would still expire out of the money. I would still lose my initial investment. So it is something I do. I know I did spend a lot of time on that point, but it is something I feel is very important to understand, especially when it comes to the binary options trading. The P&L that you're showing there is just your P&L at this moment. If you exit the contract, if you sell your contract back into the market, it is not necessarily the P&L if the market were to expire right now. So moving on, we also see our total P&L down here. We have a couple new buttons here that we actually just released. I think the set profit target has been in demo for about a month, but it just went to the live environment, and the close button has been in demo and live for 2 months or so. We were working on it over the summer on developing that. So these are 2 new buttons we put in. Now these are what I'll say, it's sort of skinned functionality. And what I mean by that is these are things you've always been able to do, but we sort of put a button in and made a new deal ticket to make it a little bit easier to sort of understand what's going on. So if I hit my set take profit, let's do it on the dollar yen here. So I hit my set take profit target. It's going to bring up this new window, and it's going to actually allow me to adjust. Here, let me just go to one contract. It's going to allow me to adjust my closing price, and you can see it's actually telling me what my profit target will be set to. So let's say I got into this contract at the average price of what, $70.75, and I want to get out. Let's say if it goes up to a profit of $10, so 80.75, that's $10 higher than what I paid for the contract. I want to get out at that point. I can hit place limit order. And what this is going to do is it's going to put a working order out on the exchange that if the sell side of this contract gets up to 80.75, it's automatically going to trigger, automatically going to get me out of the contract with my profit. So I can set this here, and I'll show you that. So you may have noticed there when I hit that, this order panel just changed to 2. I'll show you where that is in just 1 second. Actually, I'll go over now. So you can see this is the contract I just placed. We can see my working order. It's this dollar yen contract, and here it is, 80.75, just like I first typed in. So again, if that gets to this 80.75 point, and you'll see actually if I place one more, this should go to -2. Oh, it just put it on another one, but we can see again, it comes up there in the actual position. Sorry, in the working order. Now, going over, I do see a question coming up. I'll answer this question in just 1 second. Um, so the one last panel I want to go over before I answer that question is this close button here. This close button is going to be getting an easier way to get out of this position at the current market price that's being offered. So if let's say that we'll go to this pound dollar contract. Let's say I want to get out of this contract that I got into earlier. I want to just, cut my losses. I know I'm sitting at an $18 profit and loss. I would actually get out. I can just hit this close button. This is going to allow me to close my position much, much easier than you previously could do. So this is a new feature, but you have always been able to get out of your contract. It just used to be in a much more convoluted way. So you can see here, close position. This is the current contract we have going. You can see as this moves up and down, I have to get out at the current market price because that's the only way I can for sure close the position I have right now. I'll click close position, and there we go. It should have gotten me out. I think I had 2 of these, right? Yeah, I think I had 2. Did I have 2? This is pretty good. Oh, I think it's because my other order hit. So yeah, you can see it here, close position, there we go. It got out of the contract. I think that one was because my other working order like hit at the same time. But you can see here, that's how you easily get out of that contract very quickly. You can hit that close position and get out. Before I go on to the order panel, we do have a question here, and I think it is a pretty good question and one to always be aware of. So the question is, for the US 500 market on Nadex, what market is it mimicking? The S&P E-minis, the S&P 500, etc. When I watch Yahoo Finance S&P 500 index, I've noticed the moves don't mimic each other 100% most of the time with that versus Nadex. That's a very good question. So for the underlyings, for all of our, and by underlyings, I mean, what our contracts are based on, so like Aussie dollar, for all of our indices, for all of our commodities, these are all going to be based on the futures prices. So not the spot prices, the futures prices. And if you ever do want to see what those prices are, so for example, the question was specifically the S&P 500. These are the S&P 500 E-mini contracts. So if I actually go to nadex.com, I can actually see, so I'll go kind of slow so you can see where this is. So if you go to product and markets, you go to markets down here on this drop down, and then I go over to see contract specifications. You can click on this, and this is actually going to show you what the underlying market is for everything. So you can see here, the US 500, the underlying market for that is the CME E-mini S&P 500 index futures. So that is very important. It's a very good question because sometimes we do have people looking at the spot price. Let's say you have another chart up and you're looking at the spot price of the market. That's not going to be what our markets are based on. They are based on the futures prices. So it is important to always understand that. Now, what you see in here, this price, it will always be close to that price that you're going to see on on another provider where they're doing futures. Why I always recommend using our charts though is because this price is not always going to be the exact same as that other price on the other market. The reason for this is because the price you see here, that indicative market, so when we sell our contracts, it goes through what we call a settlement calculation. Basically, all it does is it takes all of the trades that are going on in the underlying market in the last, let's say 10 seconds, and it just sort of cuts off the top and bottom of those trades and averages the middle of them. And this is basically so to give you a more accurate and a more, so like one trade at the very end of a contract doesn't just like throw off the actual settlement price, right? So it's basically so that you can get an accurate settlement price for the ending price for the market. And so what's happening here is with this indicative price, it is actually that underlying price going through that settlement process. So it will be very, very close to the futures data you will see on other platforms. However, it generally won't be the exact same because it is going through that settlement process. And if you if you want to know more about the settlement process, you can go to our website as well. I believe we have either a blog on that. I can maybe put that up in the let me just Nadex a little bit. So you can learn more about it here on what is the settlement value of Nadex contracts. But again, so that's why it is going to be the futures contracts for both the commodities and for the indices. Wow, couldn't remember that word for a second. For the commodities and the indices. For the forex, it is this get basically an amalgamation of prices from, I think it's 10 or so big banks. It's sort of blended into a feed. So the forex prices, forex prices basically everywhere you go on any forex things are going to be always a little bit different because everyone has their own little way and number of banks that they get those prices from. I do want to move on here. I do have one more question here that just came in. How do you know what to trade and when? Are all Nadex contracts capped? So how do you know what to trade and when? That is a fairly loaded question. It is a fairly complex question, right? And I think I probably don't have enough time to go fully into that in the course of this webinar, because I do want to just focus on explaining kind of how the platform works. You can join. We do have a lot more webinars on and strategy guides that you can look that might give you a better idea of when you want to get into a market, what you want to be looking for, maybe any sort of signals you're seeing from a certain market, any indicators, right? Yeah, that is a very good question that I think every trader is always trying to figure out. When do you get in? When do you get out? And yes, so the second part, are all Nadex contracts capped? Yes. All Nadex contracts, you can't lose more than when you pay to get in, and they all do have sort of a capped upside as well. So you have your capped downside and capped upside, limited risk, limited reward. So I do want to make sure we get through all of the platform here. So these questions are very good. I'll still answer them as they come in, but I want to make sure we get through all of what we need to before the end of the webinar here. So as we move over, this is going to be the order panel. Again, this is where your working orders go. It's going to be very similar to the positions panel, right? The only main difference is going to be this size. So we can see +1 and then the filled. So we can see none of these have been filled yet. And then the price, these are going to be the price that these are sitting out in the market that we want to have these prices hit, right? So this is, this is basically saying if this market gets to $50, and we can see currently it's at 89, so sort of unlikely it does get down there and get there, but if it does get to this price of $50, it will actually just automatically trade and giving it to that position or get me out of these positions. I think some of these are limit orders to actually, some of these are my take profit orders I put when we were on that last screen. We also have our 24-hour history. This is going to be a very quick history you can look at. It's going to be everything you've done over the last 24 hours, and it's going to be all your order history. So you'll see like order sent, order filled. You can see we got some potential wash trades here. So order filled, order sent. I'll go over more of the history in a second because there's a better place to look for the history. So that's going to be that bottom panel. So we've gone over the bottom panel, we've gone over the deal ticket. I do want to go over this sort of top panel quickly. There's not too much here, but do just want to go over it very quickly. So first we have this, so first of all, on the very left-hand side, we have the open live account. If you do have a demo account and you just want to open a live, you can click that. It will take you to the application form. I'm forgetting words today. I don't know why I'm doing that. So if moving over, we have our platform status. So this says operational. No, I think we have something like 99.9% uptime. So it generally should always be operational. But we do have that here just in case, something's going on with the platform, something's going down. And if you do click into it, you can get to our status page, and this is going to show you, if everything is operational, our account creation, trading platform, payments, etc. Moving on over, we have our exchange time. Just remember, all of our exchange time is Eastern time, and all of the contracts are also in Eastern time as well. So I know that can get a little bit confusing because, I'm actually in Nadex, we're headquartered in Chicago, so we are in Central time. But just remember that all of the contracts are quoted in Eastern time, and the exchange time is Eastern time as well. And so that will let you know that. We have our available balance, P&L, and position value here. So these are just different values. You can see your available balance. If you aren't sure what these are, you can hit this little information bubble, and it's going to tell you, oh, my available balance, these are the funds I have available to deal or withdraw. My account value, these are the value of my account, so it's available plus reserve, et cetera, et cetera. We have a total P&L, everything there. You can actually switch these around. So I can actually have 3 of these up at a time. So if I take one away, I can put my account value, I can take these off, and I can make my reserve and P&L up there. You can also hide the values too. Maybe you trade in public on the train and you don't want people to see how much money you have in your account, or you trade on a public machine at a library or something. You can hide those values as well, and you can see they are now hidden. And you can bring it back. And then on the top right, we have our account section. We have our account section. This is going to be a general account overview. If you have your live account, so this sort of circle here will tell you how much of your funds are available, how much of them are your position, your reserve. Right now, it's very hard to see, but you can see this little sliver of darker blue and yellow. But if you only have like 250, 500 bucks on your real account, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot more useful tool. You have your account value, that's $10,456, and your total P&L. Also, now here we have our Replenish Balance. If you are on your demo account and you need more funds in your demo account, you can hit this button. This is going to allow you to replenish your balance. It'll basically, if you are below $10,000, it'll take your demo balance back up to $10,000, so you can continue trading, continue practicing, continue learning the platform and the products. And if I hit confirm here, this is actually not going to let me because my balance is already over $10,000. So that's a couple things to remember. You can only replenish your account once per 24 hours, and you can only replenish it up to $10,000. So if you're trading well, you're making money, you can't add more funds on top of the money you already have in there. Moving on, now we have our residential address and our contact details. This is obviously a demo account, so I don't, it's one I just use for webinars, so I don't have the most realistic stuff up here. Obviously, I don't live in Trader Town, awesome Alaska, but you can go ahead and edit all of this, and then you can save the changes. Do make sure that your residential address and your contact details are up to date, especially in your live account, because sometimes we have to send out tax forms physically. Generally, we send those out. We might need to call you for something. We might need to email you. Again, these are just my demo account, and it's one I use for webinars, so I don't have a real one in there. But it's very important that you make sure you do have those realistic contact details up. Moving on down to our history, I do see some questions coming in. I will hit them in just 1 second. I just want to make sure that we get through, the meat and potatoes of the actual platform here, so we can go through everything. But I will answer all of these questions here in just a second. So we have our history panel here. This is going to be the best place to actually go and see your entire history. So you can choose your transaction history or order history. I usually just do transaction history. I think that's the best way to actually see what's been going on. The order history will just show you like every single order you send, the order sent, order filled, back and forth. I like to do transaction history because it will just show you contracts that have executed, where you've gotten in and where you've gotten out. And then you can choose how much time to see. Here you can also say, you can see your trading activity or funding activity, how much money you put in, you put out. On this one, funding activity won't really do much because it is a demo account. And then you can hit view history, and it's going to pop up here. Now, I am aware that this probably isn't the best way to look at a history. That it is something we're working on right now. We're trying to go ahead and fix. We've been trying to fix it for a while, but we are doing, not to get into too much of the technical side, but we're doing a lot of stuff on the back end so that we can kind of present a better history on the front end too. But in the meantime, this is going to be the best way to see your history, what's been going on. You can see your buy to close, your sell to close, your fees, everything getting in, getting out. Like I bought this for 76, this is a little bit earlier in the webinar. I had my fee, my $1 fee, and then buying and selling to close. I could see all of my money going in, money going out, right? Probably one of the better ways to actually see your overall lifetime value P&L is going to be actually just downloading this. So let's say I want to see, the last 7 days, what my P&L has been. If you hit download, now my little, it should pop up at the bottom left. My internet has been being a little weird, so I'm going to have to go over to my downloads panel. But this should just pop up on the bottom left here, just like when you download anything online, just the little bottom left bubble. It'll bring up an Excel file, and it's going to be everything you have there in Excel. And now probably one of the better ways to actually do this is just to take the sum of the entire column. So you do equals sum, you drag it up, you can see on this account, I have not been doing well. I have lost about 500 bucks the last 7 days of trading on my demo account. So I've not been doing also hot on that account so far. So that's going to be the best way to see your overall lifetime P&L. I am aware that that's not the best way to do it, and we are, it's not the best way to present it to y'all. We are working on building a new one. It just does take some time to actually do. So moving on here, we have our statement. Basically, it's just going to be your transaction history put into a format that is a little bit easier to read. So you have your statement here. Again, you can hit download. Again, my downloads are messed up on my internet here, but it will do that little like bottom left-hand thing and give you a PDF of the statement. We have our contact us. So this is going to be the email you can use to send to us, or you can write to us at our physical address. This is the physical address of our office. I would say 99.9% of the time, just send us an email. It's going to take so long to get everything to that the office. And even though we are going in now, a little bit more than we were in the middle of the pandemic, still better to just email us or just live chat us, which I will show you how to get to in 1 second. Moving on now, we have our feedback panel. This feedback panel is, I think it's one of the more important things on the platform. At least for me, it is, just because it allows you to talk directly to us, tell us what you want, tell us all the feedback that you want to see in the new platform. If you hate it, if you love it, if you have a feature you really want to see, definitely tell us. This isn't just going into some black box. This actually, I have an email that generates every single morning that has everything that people put into here. It goes to me, it goes to a lot of our developers, it goes to some of our project managers for this. So we do read everything that comes through. So if you do have suggestions, if you hate the platform, if you love the platform, if you want to see something, definitely put it here, because it is how, a lot of the stuff we've developed, like the set profit target button, like the close button, like the tear off tickets, have been because we got a lot of feedback saying we needed that. So I won't sit here and promise that we'll put every single thing that comes into the feedback section, but if we do get a lot of people saying something, we do try to prioritize that. And then we have our refer a friend. I'm not going to go super in depth into this. You do need to have a live account to refer a friend, but this is where you're going to be able to find it. If you do have a live account, well, if you have a demo, you can click learn more. If you have a live account, you can actually copy your link there, and you can give your link. And it's a program where if you actually give people your link, they open a live account, they trade, you can get funds as well. And then you have your log out button at the bottom left. I'm not going to hit it right now because we still have a little bit more of the webinar to go through. So I'm going to go over the left-hand panel very quickly. I'm going to answer some of the questions from the chat. Actually, I'm going to save some of these to the end because they are a little bit longer, and I do just want to make sure that we get through all of the platforms. I know we have about 10 minutes left, but I will answer these questions. So just keep them coming in. I'll answer them at the end because some of them are just a little bit longer, and I want to make sure we get through the platform for everyone that's here to see everything like that. So the last thing we really need to go over is this left-hand panel here. They're going down the left side, so I'll quickly go over that. So the default one is going to be this markets panel. That's going to be how you open and close this kind of finder tab here, and how you select the different markets. Going on down, you can also see the updates panel. This is going to be where we have all of our updates, where we put new holiday hours, new future symbols rollovers, new features. So you can see the max ROI probability is in there. I think we're going to put one out for the set profit target. And if you do have any new updates in there, there will be like a little blinking bubble thing that shows you there's new updates. Going down, you see this little how-to section. If you ever want to take any of these courses, so this is it's little kind of things that will walk you through. So if you want to learn, okay, I want to learn how to place a binary trade, it's going to kind of walk me through the steps. Select my product type, selecting a market, selecting an index, right? So it'll actually walk me through this. We have a number of different courses on here. So if you do want to learn a little bit more, you can go through these, and we are always trying to add more. This is fairly new, so we don't have a ton yet, but we are trying to add more. And that's going to be this little how-to bubble. We'll pop that up. Moving on down, we have our mobile app. So we do actually have a mobile app, but you won't find it in the App Store. But if you do click this button, and that'll bring up a QR code, and then you can go ahead and just do one of these with your phone, and you can pop that up, and now I can get to the platform. So once it pops that up, it's going to take you to the site, and you can just download it. If you want to learn more, you can do that here. Hit this learn more. But we do have a mobile app, and so that is going to be how you get that on your phone. Going down, we have this contact us page. This is going to pop up a new page, but it will have a page with the live chat. So if you want to use the live chat, you can hit this contact us button. It's going to pop up a new page, and you can put in your name, your email. That's probably going to be the fastest way to get a response. But maybe if you have a longer question, you can also always email customer service, and that might be a little bit better way to ask like a longer multi-party question, right? But if you have something quick, simple, you can use live chat, probably the quickest way to get a response. Again, we have our feedback. It's so important. I put it in here twice. And then down on the very bottom left, we have our settings. So if you hit the settings, you have a number of different settings you can change. You have your tolerance. So this tolerance level, it's basically, I'll go very quickly into it. I think the default for these when you get in is going to be like 10 and 3, I'm pretty sure. But you can change these tolerance levels. So what the tolerance level is it's when you place a market order. Our market orders are market orders with protection. It's basically a protection level that, when you place an order on the exchange, it sort of fires off to the back end, matches with someone, fires back to you saying, oh, okay, we matched you with someone, you trade, you have a trade, you're in the trade, right? If in that like millisecond that process takes, that's actually less than that, but in that very, very quick time that process takes, if you're in a contract and you're wanting to get it, let's say at $60, and all of a sudden that price jumps up to $75, well, you didn't want to get into that, but a general market order would just get you into whatever that best price is, even if it changed. What this does is it says if from the time you press that button to the time the order is actually filled, if that jumps over your protection level, so let's say in this case $10, because I have this $10 set here, it won't get you into the contract. So it sort of protects you against very wide market changes while you're getting into market orders. And so you can set this, you can set this to like super low here, you can set it to $1, you can set it all the way up to 25. Just know that if you set it to $1, you might get, canceled orders a little more often. If you set it to 25, you might accidentally get into orders that weren't the exact price you wanted. Now, again, this doesn't happen very often where it moves that much, but some of these markets do move pretty fast, and that's why we have this functionality. Moving on down, default order type, this is just going to be market or limit. So whenever you order and open a new ticket, right, it's just going to be what comes up first. So you can see limit order when it's set to limit, and now if I open it, it's going to be set to market. I usually like limit orders, so I keep mine set to limit, but personal preference. Going on down, default contract size, you can set this to be like 10, and when you open up a deal ticket, you'll see the size. Maybe I have to drop this. Well, basically, I think if I log out and log back in, it'll work. But I usually just try to keep my default contract size to 1 anyway. I find that if I do it higher, that I can accidentally get into contracts I didn't want to get into. I didn't mean to get into. Moving on down our session inactivity, right now it's set to 12 hours. Basically, this will just be how long until it actually auto logs you out. So, if you're trading at your personal computer, I usually set mine as high as it can go to 12 hours. But maybe if you're trading like on a public machine, you'd want to set that to a little bit lower. And then we have our light mode and our dark mode. That burns my eyes. I like dark mode on everything. Some people like light mode. And system will match whatever setting you have for your browser. So if you have your browser in dark mode, it'll match that. But I usually just do dark mode. But if you do want light mode, you can do that here as well. Man, that really burns my eyes when I do that. All right, so that is really, I'm trying to make sure I didn't forget anything, go over anything. I am going to answer these questions now because we did have a lot come in the latter half of this, but that is really going to be all of the functionality of the platform that I wanted to go through today. If you do have any more questions, definitely throw them in the chat. I'm going to put up a slide and answer some questions here at the end. Oh, let me... So these are just going to be our socials, our Trustpilot. If you do like Nadex, leaving a Trustpilot review, it helps us out. Our marketing people always want me to tell you to do that. But yeah, if you're liking it, it does help us out. And also here's our socials. Definitely follow us on the socials. And our YouTube is just Nadex. And this webinar, the recording will be up on the YouTube channel. It's usually up within an hour, but I think the person that does that is actually on vacation today, so it might just be a little bit longer, but probably by the end of the day, it'll be up on our YouTube. So definitely throw in any more questions, and I will answer some of them now. So we had one coming in, stop loss and take profit. How does that work? Very good question. So currently on Nadex, and actually, I don't know why I have this up because I'll just go back to the platform to show you this. Currently on Nadex, we do not have a stop loss. It's something that we want to set up. It's not there yet. The take profit, we do have our take profit. So you can hit set take profit. And actually, let me do this. I'll do this on a call spread. One other thing I do want to show is that, so you do have visual representations of all the contracts on the platform itself. So you can see blue, red, you can see the floor and ceiling and the knockouts. If I go in here, you can see all the knockout levels. Oops, on the side here. So how do you set take profit? So basically, you can set a profit target. This is going to be how you can set your take profit. You can do it from right here and hit this button. This is the a little bit of new functionality I was talking about. So if I want to get out at $70, I got in at what did I get in at? 775, 62.50. So I can set a profit target of 70, and it's going to set my profit target to $7.50. I can place my limit order, and that's going to go over here. And now we can see it was this contract, this pound dollar contract at 70. I set that profit target for. Also, you can just do it in another way. So if I'm in a contract, and let's say I have two on the buy side, so basically what you do, if I buy to get into a contract, I sell that same contract to get out. And conversely, if I sell to get into a contract, if I sit on the sell side, I just want to buy that same contract to get out. So what that means is basically if I'm here, I click this. So I got in at $70. The market is at 69 on the sell side right now. I can actually set a limit order and say, if it gets to 90, I want to get out. I can place that order, and that's actually going to go over here as well as a limit order. So a couple different ways to do that, but the easiest is just going to be hitting the set take profit button. And we don't have a stop loss, but we are working on adding that functionality. Currently, we are working on developing that. Next question, if you submit a market order on Nadex for a large contract size for say 500 contracts, will there ever be a time where your order does not get filled due to lack of liquidity? Also, could this be a thing when you go to liquidate your position? Yes. So if it's an incredibly large amount of contracts, yes. So you can actually see the number of available contracts out there in the market right now. So this 150, and you can see it. So see this 150 here and 150 here. So we almost always do have market makers that are so we always have market makers that are providing liquidity. So almost always you're going to be able to get out of your contract unless you are in something like, let's go into a binary. So some of these at the bottom right, it's so far off where the market is. Like if you were in this buy side, there's no one pricing anything on the sell side. Your question though was if, like, let's say you do 500 contracts. Well, yeah, it is only going to let you get into however many are offered at the top. So a lot of the times, and on the live environment, I believe it'll be something like 100 or 150. It depends on which market maker and who's the background. We have a number of market makers providing liquidity. But basically what will happen, so I can show you here. Let's say I get into 30 contracts. I'm going to take everything in the market here, right? I'm going to get into 30, but it'll requote pretty quickly. Oh, I put in a limit order, sorry. Let's cancel this order. Oh, you can also cancel your limit orders. That's an important thing. You can cancel your limit orders by clicking on them here and then saying delete order. But let me very quickly, so I'll show you here. Sorry, let me get into market order. Market. So I'm going to hit all 30 of these. I'm going to take them all. And you should see them. Like it'll go away for a second and they'll requote in a second. And now we have less market makers on our demo environment, so this might take a little bit more. On the live environment, we have a higher number of market makers. So generally there will be more there and more requoting quickly. So to answer your question, like yes, sort of. If you put in like a ton of contracts, you can run into a situation where you can't fill them all at once in one order. But like you just saw, these did requote, so you might just have to get into a piecemeal, right? Like if you really want 500 binary options, you might have to get in like 100 at a time. And same thing with getting out, you might have to get out on 100 at a time because they aren't quoting for that many. But again, if we go to the live environment, there are a lot more quotes than just these. On the demo, it's a little bit less because there aren't as many market makers quoting our demo environment. That's a very good question, though. But for most things, like up to 100 contracts, you're basically never going to. Next question, after you place a trade in the demo account, where do you view or how are you alerted of your profit and loss? Another great question. So you can go to the history tab, like I showed a little bit earlier in the webinar, and you can always go. You can go to history. You can see what actually happened with their contract. So let's say I can view the last 24 hours, and we can see none of these have actually expired. Okay, we can see my settlement payout here. My settlement payout here for this contract. So it'll say settlement payout, right? I don't know why this is coming up. It'll say settlement payout. You can see what actually happened. You'll also be sent an email when your contract expires. I know it can be a lot of emails if you're trading a lot. Some people like to set up a separate email account that just is for their Nadex stuff. But those are going to be the two ways you would see if something settles in your favor. You can see what your profit and loss is. You can download this from over to Excel. But I will say once again, we know that that's not the most ideal way to see your P&L. We are working on a better solution for that. We just have a couple more questions left. Thank you everyone for who's sticking around. I am going to answer the rest of these questions. I know we, excuse me, I know we are a little over an hour here, but I am going to make sure we answer all the questions that have been asked. So this is the last one we have in here, and if you do have any more questions, throw them in here. What would your advice be to a beginner? What do those ticks indicate? What is the difference between buying and selling? Is that why you call it trading? Tell me something useful. Okay, it's quite a few questions, and I hope some of what I've said has been useful today. But I have been trying mostly to just go over the platform and not. This hasn't been as much focused on, actually the trading aspects. It's more functionally. But I will try to answer this question. So, my advice for a beginner. That's kind of a large question. I would say try to learn as much as you can. Try to read as much as you can. Practicing on the demo account and making sure that you know how these contracts work. You know what buying is, you know what selling is, you know what happens when you get out of a contract, when you get into a contract, when you exit something early, when you hold something to expiration. Like, go over all of the aspects that can happen on each of the products, especially the products, right? So the binary options, the call spreads, the knockouts. I know I didn't go fully into how each of those work. And if you actually do want to learn more, I do a webinar. So I do a webinar every Thursday. I do some platform ones, I do some chart ones, and I do ones on the binaries, and I do ones on the call spreads and knockouts as well. So check out our website for when those are coming up. There should be some recordings on our YouTube channel as well. Some with me, some with some of our other educators, if you really don't like listening to me talk for an hour. But yeah, I would say that's my biggest advice for a beginner is just to learn, the ins and outs of actually trading these things. Make sure you understand what is going on with these contracts. And also I'd say, don't get discouraged and don't put your whole account on like one trade and just swing for the fences, because you are going to have losses and you're going to have wins in trading. That's trading everything. I've had my fair share of massive losses, right? And anyone who ever tells you that, you're only going to have wins and here's a secret to make $100,000 in 5 seconds, they're lying to you. You're going to have losses. You're going to have wins. You just want, basically what you want in trading is the wins to outnumber the losses. Because I will tell you, I have had a lot of big losses in my 10 years or so of trading. But just try to make sure that you learn from every loss you take. What's the buying and selling? What's the difference between buying and selling? So basically, buying and selling. If we have a strike price here, basically if I buy the contract, I want it to go in an upward direction, right? If I sell the contract, I think the underlying market's going to go in a downward direction. That's very, very basically what the buying and selling is meaning. For the binary options, it's still, you want it to move in an upward direction if you're buying that contract. It also, what it literally means is that at expiration of this contract, if the underlying market is above this line, right? So we have a strike price. This is our strike price, right? This is where the market is. If I buy this contract, if at expiration at in 21 hours and 53 minutes, this market is above this point, I will get $100 pay. that is literally what that buy means. The sell is the opposite. The sell, you want it below. So if the sell, and if it's not above, right, for on the buy, if it's down here, I will get a $0 payout. On the sell side, if it's above this, I get a $0 payout. And if it's below this line, I get a $100 payout at expiration. So sell, basically, you just want it to go down, or for the binaries, you want it to be below the strike price at expiration. For the buy side, you want it to go up, or you want it to be above the strike price at expiration of the contract. And again, there are more webinars and articles and things on our learning center about the actual makeup of these products. So I highly recommend checking those out, because this one was more on just the platform itself. Oh, we got a couple more questions coming in. I want to get to the last one. Is that what you call it, trading? Yeah, so you buy and you sell, right? You generally, hopefully, I mean, I'm all red here today, but generally what you want is you want to buy something, it to go up, and then you can actually sell your contract back into the market, and actually, you buy low, you sell high, right? Or you get into a sell side contract high, and then you want it to go lower. So that's how that works. So another question here. Let me make sure. Sorry, so on the order ticket where you see the buy and the sell price, where you see the buy and the sell with price, the small number in the left and right hand corner equals how many contracts are currently available to be traded. So total market liquidity. Yes, sort of. So yes, it is these are the total at this price. So let me find something. So on demo, very often you'll only have one price, but let me find something here that has probably on our US 500 we have more. Let me go in. So let's get into a US 500 daily. Okay, so well, you can see here, right? I mean, there's not as many, but basically what you're seeing here, what these little numbers are it is the amount of liquidity in the market, but it is the amount of liquidity in the market at this price. So you can see there's only one contract at 40, but if you go in here, you can see, okay, there's also 234. There's also 60 at 25. So it's not the entire liquidity, but it's the liquidity at the price you're seeing, right? That's what these smaller numbers are. And if you go into the market depth, you can then see the full liquidity. That's going to be the full liquidity on the order book. Now, again, if someone hits that and takes all those off, our market makers are going to requote pretty fast. And again, this is demo. So on the demo environment, generally there are less market makers making quotes. On the live environment, there are a lot more. And so you're more likely to have a lot more liquidity in the live environment, just sort of how it works. And the last question here, and if you do have any more questions, I am going to answer this question and probably going to end the webinar at this point unless I have one coming in here after this, because we are at about an hour and 10 minutes now. So the very last question here. I'm working on the demo account only, but I haven't received any emails when anything settles. Is there something I haven't set up correctly? I believe I would just check to see that your email is correct. Potentially, I want to say maybe actually those settlement emails got turned off for demo. So we are doing a lot of work on the back end, and sometimes we have to like turn things off, mostly in our always in our demo environment, right? We don't really mess with live functionality because we want everyone to make sure that everything's working correctly in our live environment when your real money's on the line. We may have, and I'll look into this, and I'll after this I'll write myself a note to go chat with some of our developers. We may have turned that off briefly so we could work on something. But first I would check to make sure your email address is correct, and then yeah, maybe we did. So I apologize if I told you that some of the emails are coming in and you're not seeing them. Potentially we did turn those off for a brief period of time so that we could work on something. So I know we have been working on something in that realm recently. All right, so that's going to be all of the questions for today. I know we did run a little bit over, but I really hope this was helpful. I do always love y'all have been a great audience today, asking a lot of questions. I love it when you guys ask a lot of questions. So thank you for hanging out with me for the last hour and 10 minutes. It's been quite a while listening to me talk. I know. If you do want to go back and review any of this webinar, again, this will be on the YouTube channel. Probably by the end of the day. It's usually about an hour, but again, our guys out of the office. Yeah, so thank you for coming on. Definitely go to the YouTube channel for any other webinars that you want to see, any other educational series. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming along. Best of luck in your trading, and I will see you in the next one.